Welcome, my name is Brett Thomas. I'm in the marketing department at Auburn Regional Medical Center. Before I introduce our panelists, I'd like to acknowledge some people. First off, the City of Auburn, who's been gracious to sponsor this educational series and who is our host for the venue today. Also the Auburn Reporter, where the Business Corner feature appears, and the Washington State Department of Labor and Industry, who was good enough to invest in the time for two of their professionals to come down and speak with us today. I'd also like to indulge a brief commercial message. Occupational medicine is a joint program of Auburn Regional Medical Center and our affiliated regional medical clinics. We provide services from drug screens to workplace examinations and, of course, exceptional care for injured workers. We have occupational medicine in 3 clinics in Auburn at our hospital campus nearby here. In Federal Way at the Crossing Shopping Center at the top of Highway 18, and then up at Kent at 212th and West Valley Highway right next to Starbucks. All 3 clinics are staffed with occupational medicine physicians, staff trained in occupational health services, and for those of you who are not yet our clients, we'd love to speak with you about your workplace occupational health needs. And now to our program. You know, as employers strive to the goal of 0 accidents, it is still critical to understand the best ways to handle workplace injuries when they occur, and in order to provide the best possible care to the employee and to minimize the financial impact to both business and to our state's resources. And that's the focus of our panel presentations today. The panelists are going to make presentations one right after another, and then they'll be able to take your questions. Our first panelist is Dr. Scott Fox, occupational medicine physician at our clinic at the Crossings in Federal Way. With nearly 20 years of combined experience in emergency medicine and occupational medicine, Dr. Fox also embodies our philosophy that recovery includes getting back to work. Dr. Fox?
Thanks for coming in today. First slide, please. Okay, identifying and treating workplace injuries. It's pretty easy for me because they show up on my front doorstep. The issue at hand is identifying the appropriate action plan and getting patients back to work. So whether it's on a light duty modified program or whether it's back to full duty. Part of recovery, yes. I'd say this is very, very true. As a physician in occupational medicine, I find myself acting not only as a patient advocate, but always acting as an employer advocate, understanding the administrative aspects of workplace injuries as well as understanding what it takes to get the patient back to work. Knowing that patients, the longer they're away from the workplace, the less chance that they're going to be gainfully employable. I think the last statistics I read were if they're out of work for a year, there's less than a 5% chance that they're gainfully employable from that point on. So keeping that in mind, one of the hats that I have to wear in this state, since patients can go to anybody they want for their work injuries, is trying to keep them under my roof and gain their confidence and trust so they don't hop from office to office, having repeat exams done, getting lost in the mix, and not actually being on the work site. There's a psychological aspect to having a patient, even if they're in modified duty, back in front of their peers at work that has been shown to increase return to work. Communication, that's probably the thing that most people don't do well on the medical side. They treat the patient and they communicate with the patient, but they don't communicate with the employers. I like to go out to work sites. I like to visit so I understand what kind of jobs are being done, what kind of modified duties available, and so when I get on the phone, somebody doesn't feel like, okay, well, who is that? You know, and is that just somebody that's going to be there in another 6 months? So I go out and look at the workplace, figure out what kind of jobs they're doing on a regular basis. So when somebody comes in and says, I can't do this, I can look at them and I go, you know, you really can, and it's a benefit to you to get back to work. As far as case management, probably in the back of my head, I have a calendar running. But being a COE certified provider, they also provide case management oversight. I'm happy to say that I don't get a lot of visits from the COE case managers because I don't have a lot of outstanding cases. That's usually when you get them. And so, but being a part of that program, that's where a lot of case management comes into some of the cases that take extended periods of time. Again, it's real important to communicate with the employers, especially if they don't have modified duty programs, and let them know that I understand, how they pay their bills, how they pay their premiums, what's involved in how their premiums go up next year in regards to time loss. Managing time loss is probably the biggest key that I discuss with employers when they come in. Traditionally, what you'll find in the environment is you're going to find that people are given, if they go to the emergency room for a visit, they're given at least 3 days off. Well, now you're triggering into the time loss pool, and that's probably at a minimum. And that's pretty much a knee-jerk reaction with a lot of emergency rooms. When you go to a family physician, you'll find yourself getting taken off of work for a month. Well, employers can't handle 30 days of time loss. It's not going to make the patient gainfully employable down the line the longer they're out. They don't understand that. Most primary care physicians that aren't involved in occupational medicine don't understand the headaches of the employers and how time loss hobbles them. In fields like construction, on big projects in the state, if they've got too much time loss, they don't get to bid on projects. These type of things I understand, being involved in occupational medicine for as long as I have. Physical therapy, getting patients in to get them moving around instead of sitting around, so they tend to heal faster. And then for those that need it, work hardening. Real intensified, showing them that they can get back and do this activity. Yeah, opportunities, a kind of a risk management thing. I know somebody else is going to speak about risk management, but I like to have discussions, especially when I do site visits, in regards to just highlighting certain areas where my experience has shown me that there's going to be more injuries on a work site with employees, and going out on a regular basis to see if workplaces have changed. Also identifying if personnel within the HR department is changed, so they continue to feel comfortable talking to us on the phone. Again, I think I talked about identify return to work options. And then the other thing we do is pre-employment exams, trying to protect employers from potentially, situations where accommodations are going to need to be made prior to hiring. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Fox. Our next panelist is Bob LeMay from the Washington State Department of L&I. Bob has been with labor and industry for 25 years, including the last 10 as a risk management specialist in the Division of Occupational Safety and Health. He will remind us about the do's and don'ts and what to do in the unfortunate case when an employee is injured. Bob?
Thank you, Brett. First of all, my contact information is on the screen, so if you see anything today, have questions later on, you get back to your office, get back to the job site, and you have questions for me, feel free to give me a call, or my email address is there. I also am going to talk about this sample claim management plan. I have it in Word copy, so if you'd like to have a copy of it emailed to you, just email me at my address down there, lema235@lni.wad.gov. I'm going to talk about some of the things that a small employer or any employer can do. Most bigger employers have a process, but small employers don't. The state law says you have to have an accident prevention plan, and as a risk manager, I'm telling you, you should also have a claims management plan. So what are you going to do when somebody gets injured? Sometimes it might just require first aid, but sometimes it might require more than that. So that's what I'm going to talk about right now, and I'm going to talk about you should provide the employee with the injured worker with a packet to take to the doctor. You're going to send information, a packet to L&I. You're going to communicate, like Dr. Fox said earlier, with the injured worker, the doctor, and L&I. All three of those people have to be, everybody has to be in communication through the process. And then do an investigate the accident itself or at least have an incident report completed, depending on the severity of the injury. If it's just a minor injury, you might just go with the incident report, or if it's going to require time loss, I would definitely do an investigation of the accident. So this is the plan. It's only a few pages long, and you can use all of it or part of it. It's got a policy in here that you might want to have your employees sign that tells them that you take safety seriously, and that they should tell you right away when they're if they're injured at work, and what that they should participate in early return to work. They should follow whatever the doctor tells them to do so that they can recover and get back to work as soon as possible. Because again, the employer is paying for most of this plan. It also has in there supervisor responsibilities, what the supervisor should do when somebody's injured. It has what the employee should do when they're injured, what their responsibilities are. It has a claim management checklist, things to do on the first day of an injury, the steps you're going to want to take. And what we would say is you're going to have, like I had at the very top of the last screen, it said send a packet with the doctor. So you're going to have a job description, maybe a job hazard analysis that your employees have completed, that they can give to the doctor, because sometimes the injured worker can't articulate exactly what they do, how much they lift, and everything they do at work. And this packet will give the doctor all that information. It'll also give the doctor a heads up if you've got an early return to work program and what that entails. So they can fill out set the restrictions for the employee, hopefully on that first visit. The other thing you're going to want to do is put together a packet to send to L&I. And as soon as you get that claim ID number on the top of the packet, the report of accident, every report of accident has a unique identifier. You'll want to put together a packet, and on that packet, on the top of each page, you'll fax to L&I a copy of the accident report, all the payroll records, your incident report, and any other thing that you think the claim manager should see. L&I images all those documents, and then when the claim manager is assigned to that claim, they open it up, they'll have all of your information on that first opening up, and they won't have to spend time looking for payroll records and other important information. And that sometimes that delays claims by 2 to 3 weeks when the claim manager is trying to get things started. And then in the back it has a sample accident investigation report. You can find those online. You can create your own, but we have templates in here that you can use. An incident report. Then we have suggested letters that you can use to write to the doctor and to the injured worker for offering light duty. You're going to have a Dear Employee letter. You're going to let the employee know what's going on, because they don't know when they're injured, and especially if they're going to miss time from work, it's confusing for them. You're going to have an internal incident report, the accident investigation, your Dear Doctor letter. If you have a job hazard analysis, you should have one as a small employer, and an injured worker's the responsibility sheet for the employee, so that'll spell out what they need to do. And then the job description for the job of injury, we have those online. There's an email address or a link in the packet that tells you how to download it. The employee's job application and current payroll records, internal incident report, and accident investigation report. This should all be faxed to L&I, so they have it right away. The next thing is you should get an account, if you don't already, on the Claim and Account Center. This gives you a lot of information. Most of the calls to L&I are people want to just know information, and this allows the injured worker, the provider, and the employer all the information about what is going on with the claim. You can see up there, you can search for the claim, you can read the claim file notes, you can look at the image documents that are on our system, you can send a secure message to the claim manager. There's also what you can download all the injuries to Excel if you want to do a trend analysis. All that's available to you on the Claim and Account Center. So how to reduce workers' comp costs? First of all, don't have an injury in the first place. That's the best thing. You need to look at your hiring practices. As a risk manager, I meet with a lot of employers, and I'm surprised how many employers don't have use an application when they're hiring employees. An accident prevention plan, a return to work program. Michelle is going to talk about that shortly. And then consultation services. Understanding your experience factor and your rates. All employers have in the state fund have an experience factor, and they also have rates assigned to them. You develop your HR programs. Evaluate your safety and health hazards. Your employees should know what all the hazards are at the job site that they're working. And maintain compliance with all the safety and health laws. You don't want to visit from our compliance people. And training the employees when you first hire them on all the hazards that they're going to be exposed to at the place of employment. I'm a consultant, and in our unit we have different consultants. I do the risk management piece. I make that connection between the cost of injury claims and safety for the employer. We have safety consultants. We have hygiene consultants. And we have one ergonomist in King County. So we have these services. They're already paid for in the premium, and they're available to both state fund and self-insured employers. I mostly work with state fund employers, though, risk management. But the consultations, they're free. They're confidential. We can only come in if you invite us. No citations, no penalties. We give you a letter of what we find. And we follow up on all serious hazards. So we also online, we have workshops, online classes, and a video library. We have one of the biggest video libraries in the country. So I'd love to hear from you, and if you've got any questions then, I'd be happy to answer them. Yeah, there's a lot of resources at our workshop and our website that for new employers. And the best thing, though, is to give one of us a call, and we'd be happy to come out and meet with you and go over this. So I'm going to say it takes an hour and a half to just go over the basics, because you might not have an injury for a year and a half to 2 years. So, but you'll know what to do when something happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. That was extremely informative, and I hope everybody takes advantage of the amazing resources that are available to you for free as a business. Our next and final panelist is Michelle Cartwright, also from Labor and Industries. Michelle is a 13-year veteran of the agency, including 7 years managing workers' compensation claims for major employers such as the University of Washington and its affiliates, including UW-Medicine and Harborview. More recently, she has been assigned as an outreach specialist to inform employers about the new stay-at-work incentive program that will be launching soon. So, Michelle, it's all yours.
Thank you. So we're really excited to be here to tell you about the Stay at Work program, and I want to thank Dr. Fox for pleading our case. I took out a bunch of our slides as to why it's important to keep people at work, and so go ahead and go to so you don't get injured workers well to put them back to work, you put them back to work to get them well. So Richard Pimentel is his quote, and that's the basis for the Stay at Work program and for the new legislation that went into effect in June. So what is Stay at Work? And it's a legislatively mandated, it was House Bill 2123, program providing financial incentives for state fund only. There's no self-insurance involved in this program, but state fund employers providing light duty or transitional work to employees recovering from on-the-job injuries. So it's an incentive program to help employers find light duty in order to keep their injured workers at work instead of having them off on time loss, which you explained is extremely expensive in the long run. So what reimbursements are available for employers? There's a wage reimbursement, a training reimbursement, a tools reimbursement, and a clothing reimbursement. So the wage reimbursement, it pays 50% of the base wage, so the basic hourly wage excluding tips, commissions, bonuses, all the extras that you may be paying an injured worker at the time of their injury is excluded from the reimbursement program. So if they get paid $20 an hour and they're working 4 hours a day on light duty, that's the wage we're going to look at for reimbursement. And the time frame is 66 days, and that was decided on. There's an average of 22 work days per month, so basically a 3-month light duty period, and up to $10,000 per claim, whichever comes first. So So we are going to be, on our forms, going to be asking you specifically what days you want to be reimbursed for, because you can pick and choose the days where the worker worked the most light duty so that you can get the most reimbursement. And once we hit that $10,000 mark, then the wage reimbursement will expire. And it's 24 months period per claim where you can get the reimbursements, and the first day starts when you request your first reimbursement. So if you have an injured worker who works and doesn't miss any work and then ends up having surgery a year into the claim and then comes back to light duty, you can start that wage reimbursement period at that point. And then the employer has 1 year from the first day of light duty or transitional work. So from the date that they start the light duty or transitional work, then the employer can apply. They have a year from that date. This form is available on our website, and this is the employer's job description form. We're currently making some changes so that you can indicate it's a light duty or modified job. And it has 3 basic parts: the essential task description and the machinery and tools required to do the job, and then the physical demands, and then there's the attending health care provider approval. So anyone can fill out this form, an employer can fill out this form and submit it to the doctor, and it's available online, and the doctor can look at this and tell you if the worker can do this light duty job description. And we use a lot of job analyses at Labor and Industries, and those have to be filled out by vocational providers and professionals, and this form does not require that. And so we're hoping to remove some of the barriers with getting people back to work as quickly as possible so that employers can take advantage of the incentive program. Go ahead. So the website, this employer job description form is available on our website. The link is there, but you can also put in job description on our search function on our homepage, and you'll be able to find it. And you can use this form to describe the light duty or transitional work you're offering the worker. And the job description, in order to be eligible for reimbursement, has to be in writing, but you also do not have to use our form. A lot of employers already have job banks and job descriptions that they utilize, and it's not required to be on our form. We just wanted to give employers something so that they could have a guide in making it as easy as possible. Go ahead. The light duty or transitional work must be approved by the attending health care provider to qualify for reimbursement. So the legislation went into effect on June 15, 2011, the day that Governor Gregoire signed it into law. And so we're working kind of behind the 8 ball with this program, in the sense that it's in effect as of June 15th, and it takes a while to get something like this up and running. And so we anticipate, because employers probably had injured workers on light duty during that period of time, that they're probably going to have to go back to the doctor and have the doctor review it and approve it. It doesn't have to be signed. If the doctor indicated that they reviewed the job description and they felt that it was appropriate in their chart note, that's fine. We're not requiring the signature on the actual form. They just have to acknowledge that they've reviewed it. And especially with the period from June 15th until we actually launch, the healthcare provider can use the completed activity prescription form, which is the general form that we use at this time, to approve or deny the light duty or transitional work. The doctor doesn't have to bring the worker back in for an appointment in order to do that, unless they feel it's necessary. We're trying really hard not to create any additional paperwork for doctors. We want you to know that. Because that creates more delays, and we're trying to remove those barriers because we want people to stay at work. We want to try to keep long-term disability from happening, and keeping people at work, like Dr. Fox said, is the way to do that. And the employer needs to provide a copy of the job description to the worker. So we want to make sure that the worker understands what their light duty job is going to be. Go ahead. We have staff located in all of our regional offices, the main offices, statewide that are ready and willing to assist you with return to work. It's at no cost to the claim. And these staff include nurses, occupational and physical therapists, and vocational specialists. And if an employer doesn't think they have light duty, but they're interested in getting an injured worker back to work, they can contact us, and we can assign a vocational specialist who can come out to the workplace and maybe find some light duty, maybe look at some things you have going on and give you ideas for light duty, so that that's something we're very good at, and it's not what you do for a living, and we understand that, so we want to be there to help you. We can help you fill out the job description form and then also facilitate it to the attending provider so that we can get that person back to work as soon as possible. And there's no cost to the claim for help with the ERTW staff. Another resource that we have is the Employer's Return to Work Guide. This is available on our website, and it has a sample job offer letter. It has a lot of information about return to work and light duty, and it's available you can look at it right now on the web. So if you need some verbiage or you need help with that, I would really recommend this as a guide for you. So we also are offering a training reimbursement, and this is for training necessary for the light duty or transitional work, and it can include tuition, books, fees, or other necessary materials, and it's $1,000 per claim. So all of these reimbursements are available per claim, and so if an injured worker has the unfortunate circumstance to have more than one claim at a time, the employer could potentially get each of these reimbursements under each claim. You just can't file for the wage reimbursement at the same time on the same day. You have to pick different days. But potentially, if you had someone who had some more serious injuries and they were off work for a period of time and then they came back to light duty and they had a slow, gradual return to work, you as the employer could maximize your reimbursements under both claims, and if it were to go over that 66-day period. So the other thing is that we aren't going to pay or reimburse the employer to train their own employees. This has to be something that they are sending someone out to do. The example we utilize is if you had someone who worked in the field and then you wanted to bring them in, maybe have them work on an Excel spreadsheet that you needed for your business, and you sent them to an Excel class, that would be something that we could look at for reimbursements. If you do have internal training that you need to do for an injured worker that needs to have light duty from one of your other employees, we could look at books or software or other types of materials that you might need in that process. Go ahead. The other reimbursements are clothing and tools, and clothing is $400 per claim, and it becomes a property of the worker. So when a worker would go to Dr. Fox, he might say, you could do this job, but it's in a very cold environment. You're working in a warehouse or a freezer or something, and they have electric jackets that are actually powered electric jackets that could keep a person warm. So Dr. Fox could say, I think you could do this job if you had an electric jacket that could keep your core body temperature warmer so that you're not going to stiffen up over the course of the whole day. So that could be something that we could pay for, reimburse an employer for under this program to get that person back to light duty. And then the tools and equipment, $2,500 per claim. The exciting thing about this is that the tools and equipment become the property of the employer. So what we're hoping to see is that the employer can start to build up some modified equipment to help people. So a sit-stand workstation is a good example. So if an employer had an injured worker that was injured on the job and they needed a sit-stand workstation, the employer could purchase it, get reimbursed under this program, depending on how much it was, up to $2,500, and then hopefully that person recovers and goes back to their job of injury. And then when the next person gets injured and maybe they have a similar back injury, they can have the job description ready to go. They have the sit-stand workstation, and when that person goes into the doctor, the employer can hand them the job description so that they can present it to the doctor on their very first visit. So hopefully they go and see Dr. Fox and he says, yeah, you've probably really wrenched your back, but you could probably do it if you could adjust your sit-stand during the day. And the employer already has that equipment, so there's no delay in getting that person back to work the day after their injury. So we're really excited, and we hope that employers utilize that to make more modified duty and make it easier for light duty in the future for other injured workers. And the employer could also allow that person to continue to use that as long as they want, and if they needed it permanently, it would be up to the employer, because it would be the property of them, their decision on how they wanted to use that. Go ahead. So some important state work reminders that you can offer the worker more than one transitional job within the 66 days if approved, because a lot of small businesses don't have months and months and months of light duty. And if you have one thing, maybe you have your filing, and once that gets done, then you need to change it to a different type of job. It's fine as long as the doctor approves it. And the worker can continue with the light duty job longer than the 66 days. It's just, you just won't get the continued wage reimbursement after that period of time. And this is effective June 15th. So if you've had injured workers on light duty, we can go back from June 15th to current and process reimbursements for you if they meet the criteria. Go ahead. As always, you want to make sure that the worker and the supervisor are aware of the work restrictions and don't exceed them, and then continue any health care benefits the worker had unless these benefits are inconsistent with the employer's current benefit program for their workers, and then the job offer needs to be consistent with whatever collective bargaining agreement is in force at the time. So the application process, the forms will be available. We have not launched yet. It took a lot of programming to get our system to be able to pay employers. So we are launching in January of 2012, so we're getting close. But the forms will be available online. There's going to be one form for wage reimbursement, one form for the tools and training and expenses. And complete the form and then attach the required documents. I'm going to go over that real quickly. So we're going to need the healthcare provider's written certification that the worker is unable to do their usual job. We anticipate that's going to be an activity prescription form or the initial chart note from the attending doctor. And then a written job description of the light duty or transitional work. So that's that form I spoke about. So you're going to need to delineate what the worker is doing so that the doctor can review it and let you know that they're capable of performing that work. And then approval by the attending healthcare provider that the worker is able to do that light duty or transitional work. And then payroll records. Because you can pick and choose what days you want to be reimbursed for, we need you to provide payroll documentation that the person was paid and how much they were paid on those days. And so payroll records of the duration of the light duty or transitional work, and then any receipts for tools, clothing, and instruction purchase that was necessary for the light duty or transitional work. Where can you find more information? If you go to our website in the search box and put Stay at Work, the first thing that's going to pop up is the frequently asked questions. We're currently developing more and more frequently asked questions, and because we're developing a program that has not yet launched, the information is changing on a fairly regular basis. We're trying to get more and more information out to you. We do have our very own unit mailbox where you can send questions. Stay at atwork@lni.wa.gov, and you can send your general questions, and you can request someone to give you a call. You can call us directly. We have a toll-free number at 1-866-406-2482. We also have a local Tumwater number where our main headquarters are at 360-902-4411. My information is here. My program manager is Bill Smith, and then we also have a vocational outreach person, Christopher Farek, and you're welcome to give me a call. I'm available for presentations. We're really trying to get the word out about this program because we're really excited about getting people back to work and kind of keeping that long-term disability at bay, and it will improve the rates over time. The less time people are off work, the long-term disability goes down, and it ends up being a win-win for everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for coming today. We hope you got some great information to take back. Feel free to contact our presenters if you have any follow-up questions, and enjoy your evening.